welcome to the U.S. Championship Bracket Show. I'm Chris Puckett, and we have lots to talk about today. Later, I'll be joined by Methodz, Gandhi, and Goldenboy to go through all of their bracket predictions. They'll be telling you who they think's going to win every single match, all the way down to the top 8. And then we'll take it a little bit further and decide who will be our U.S. champions. But first, everyone's been talking on Twitter. They want to know what's on the line for this tournament. And if you're brand new to Call of Duty competitive esports and you're just catching this for the first time, we've done online preliminary qualifiers all over the world. We've had an Australian regional event. We just had the European regional event. And this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we'll be hosting the U.S. regional finals live from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. A lot on the line here. We have the 16 best teams from our 2 qualifiers coming into it. It's a double elimination bracket, and the top 8 teams from this tournament will earn spots at the World Championship. So what does that mean? That means you have to win your winner's bracket round 2 or your loser's bracket round 2 match to finish in the top 8. More importantly, the higher you place at the U.S. Championship, the better your seed and pool play at the World Championship will be. So if you place first for the U.S., you're going to match up against one of the lower seeds here in Europe. And let me break it down for you. The number 1 seed from the U.S. will go up against the 8th seed from Europe. Keep in mind that seeds 5, 6, 7, and 8 all tied for that 5th spot. So there'll be some randomizing amongst those squads for Europe. But we're playing all the way out here on the U.S. with the 2nd seed against 7th. 3rd will play 6th. 4th will place 5th, and so on. At the very bottom, you'll see if you finish 7th or 8th. If you go out in the round, I believe it's losers round 5, you'll be facing off against the number 1 or number 2 EU seeds, and those are the scary squads of TCM, and Epsilon from the UK. Also, the 3rd highest seed will play our 6th best seed from the US, and the 4th highest seed will play the 5th best. So that will either be TEC or Vitality Rising in those situations. So best of luck to all of our teams competing. Now you know what is on the line. Of course, this will dramatically affect their pool. They could be the number 1 squad in their pool play, and they will determine who from Europe will also be joining them there. For all the other countries that qualified online, of course, they'll be sprinkled in throughout the remaining pools. So that's what's on the line. Now let's get to the bracket discussion, and here to talk about all of the action, we have Gandhi, Goldenboy, and Methodz. Gandhi and Goldenboy, of course, will be casting. Methodz, he's still a youngster. He's going to be cheering from home for the Curse squads. And guys, we got to start this conversation off talking about the team that just doesn't seem to lose. Complexity is not the best when it comes to online play, but when it comes to LAN, they are absolutely stellar. Scott, let's start with you. Can Complexity be dethroned in this tournament, and are they in any danger of not making it to the World Championship?
I think you'd be foolish to say they won't make the World Championship. I think they're definitely a shoo-in for the top 8, but I think also the whole dethroning thing is a little bit taken out of context, I believe. If you look at Philly, you know, they did go down 2-0 versus FaZe. They had a lot of close matchups, and we kind of discovered one of their weaknesses. On Search and Destroy, they're a little bit too aggressive. They have super confidence in their shot, and they challenge a lot when they have the bomb down. That's something they have to work on. Can they get beat? Absolutely. Anyone can get beat here. But no doubt in my mind they will be making it into the World Championship. I wanted to say my prediction, but I saved it for you, Chris.
Good job, my friend. Don't blow the load early. Goldenboy, it's your turn next. Complexity in for sure?
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. That's all I'm going to say about it, because we'll talk about the logistics later. But no doubt in my mind, Complexity's in there.
And Mr. Methodz Mubot, does Curse Youth have faith in this Complexity squad to get in the top 8 again?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Seawald has proved time and time again that they're one of the best, and I don't see them, not making the $1 million tournament.
Now, more importantly, Methodz, since you won't be at the event casting it live, I want to get your predictions out ahead of time. Will Complexity win this event, in your opinion?
Yes.
He's got him winning all the way through. So Methodz confident. He thinks they're going to have a repeat performance of Columbus as well as UMG Philly and have a 3rd LAN title in Call of Duty Ghost. I'm not so sure about it, but my bracket looks pretty similar to Methodz. We'll get to that in a minute. Next, guys, let's talk about Curse Las Vegas. This is the squad that won the MLG Winter Invitational. They're now the number 1 seed, I believe, with a 12-5 record in the MLG Call of Duty League. They've been crushing all the other 9 teams in that league, have about a 66 win percentage in all game modes as well. How good is Curse Las Vegas, though, when it comes time to land? Remember, this is the squad that has 3 of the 4 world champions from Black Ops 2. Goldenboy, you can kick it off.
Yeah, it's the same thing here with complexity. I mean, you got to think, this is a team full of veterans. If I'm correct, I believe they had a top 3 placing at UMG Philly without Ricky, and now Ricky is the new addition in place of Nameless. I mean, it's a great team. I think that they have all the potential in the world, and yeah, I mean, they're definitely going to make the world championship. And I think that's a safe bet. You'll be a fool to bet against the former world champions. You know what I mean? So makes sense.
Mr. Methodz, Curse Las Vegas finishing your top 3 for this event? You're muted, Moobot. You got to unmute the mute button.
He has to
He
mute
muted
because he thumps on the keyboard.
Yeah, my
He's
fault.
a savage when he
I'm
types.
sorry. But I see them placing top 3, but they need to work on like the arguments. They get upset really easily, and it's not really good. You watch their streams, they start going crazy until it all goes downhill. So if they keep their composure, they know that this is all the marbles. They'll definitely prevail and get top 3.
It gets a little rowdy there, doesn't it, in their streams? And that's honestly what I'm most worried about is at what point do they lose their composure, if at all, at that U.S. Championships? If they implode in round number 1, I could see them, unfortunately, dropping 2 series and not making that far. But Gandhi, how far do you have them? Do you have them in your top 8? And how far would you say that they're likely to go? Top 5, top 3?
I think, for me, when I look at Curse Las Vegas, it really depends on their mindset. Everyone knows that Curse Las Vegas, you see a different team every day depending on how they wake up. And that's kind of been like their staple since forming this squad. I think obviously they're in the top 8, but I think if they lose like a semifinals matchup and on their side of the bracket, which we'll get into later, it's very possible. I don't see them getting past top 6 at the regional event just because I don't think they can regain that composure.
So I definitely have them going in mind. I have them in the top 8. I'm with you on that. Maybe top 6, maybe lower in that 7th, 8th if they really have trouble in the losers bracket. But let's talk about a team that is not a shoo-in. We've so far all agreed Complexity is going to make it. Curse Las Vegas is going to make it. Optic Gaming, they're either hot or they're not online. On LAN, I haven't seen them too hot in recent months, and Call of Duty Ghost, it so far has not been their best Call of Duty title come tournament placing. Gandhi, go ahead and start this one off. What does Optic Gaming need to do to secure a spot in the top 8 and a flight to the Los Angeles $1 Million tournament?
Well, it's first going to start off with winning the round 1. Obviously, I mean, Denial West is one of the teams who's really good on Search and Destroy, but Optic Gaming does kind of struggle with Search and Destroy. I think Optic has a big matchup versus Envy, and that's really going to determine everything. But for me, when I look at it, I mean, Clayster and Scumpy are only going to get better on LAN. And on the Xbox One, it makes the subs way more powerful, and you're going to see Scump really shine on the Xbox One on Ghost. But for me, it really comes down to their round 11s in Search and Destroy. There's so many times where, we've all seen them go to round 11 and they lose it. I mean, they lost a phase like that in the 5K 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So little things like that. They just have to find that clutch factor.
Methodz, how in danger is Optic Gaming, in your opinion, entering this tournament? Are they a shoo-in into your top 8? Do you think they'll struggle with Denial West, who is formerly known as Elevate, a team that they've run into at UMG Philly and such?
I think that they'll end up beating Denial West. I think that they'll face off pretty well. The other thing I'm nervous about is they've had internet problems with the past week. They haven't been streaming too much. But I know that they played the league matches the other night. They actually beat us in the league match, Curse Youth. So, I mean, they're not looking too bad, but they just haven't had the practice the past week of grinding like all these other teams did.
And who do you think, if there is one player that is going to suffer from that lack of online play and practice, who is it on that squad?
Probably Mbos. I heard he has been slumping lately. I'm not sure how true that is, but Bose plays really risky, especially in Search. It's 50-50. Either drop 14 kills or her drop 3 kills. So it all depends on the way he's playing.
Goldenboy,
I agree.
I set out some tweets earlier in the day, and we'll get to your full bracket later, but looking at your winners bracket rounds, you have everyone going by the seeds. You have Optic moving on to that second round. Where does it start to get troublesome in your mind for Optic Gaming?
Let me pull up the bracket real quick for you.
Got to be prepared, man.
For Goldenboy here. Goldenboy,
I
sorry.
think once they hit Envious, that's going to be a pretty close match. I think it's going to be really really solid. I mean, we have Scump recently leaving Envy, so Envy's going to want to be like, we want to beat this player that left us. And I think it's going to be a really good matchup overall. They've both been playing pretty well online so far.
Master Mendez, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, I think he can hear me. We'll get that sorted out. Either way, guys, we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to fix some of our audio and make sure that we have the brackets ready to go. In our second segment, you're going to see my winner's bracket, all of the other casters' brackets, and I want to get your brackets as well. Get on Twitter. Send me some of your tweets. I'm at MLG Puckett. I've tweeted out the winner's bracket. Just go into my recent photos, open that up, throw in a few team names, and send it back. We'll be reading a few of them, including ESN Vudos. He says that Final Boss is going to pull off an upset over the #1 seeded team in the world, Complexity, and make it all the way to the winner's bracket finals. We'll talk about that more after this.